Hi friends, I hope you're doing well. I'm BaltMatrix, and today we are taking a look at something from the wonderful folks over at Iron Factory. Today we're taking a look at City Commander Final Battle version. And that's really the Final Battle Armor version. This figure I purchased over at The Chosen Prime. It is also available at the Big Bad Toy Store, TF Source, and any other fine distributor of small plastic robots. This figure is packaged in robot mode, but we're going to start out in the vehicle mode. This first mode is called the Cannon Vehicle because it's got giant freaking laser cannons on the sides and on the back. Laser cannons on the sides can fold out like that. Laser cannon on the top can move up and down. So, yeah, you could cause some havoc with this. This mode is a representation of the IDW Ultra Magnus figure. Character, not figure. He never got an official figure in the comic. In fact, I don't remember him getting an official look or getting an official look at his alt mode all that often. Oh well. It's big, it's blocky, it's got a little bit of posability here up at the top for the cab to move side to side, but really I don't care. It's just a giant mass of destructive capability. That, and he can also file your taxes, most likely. I think this alt mode is absolutely fantastic, and it's so stupid. It's literally just this tiny little cab, and then this big chunkin' thing, so I guess we could call this beef truck, maybe? Anyway, the weapons can be removed. Simply unpeg the cannons, and the rear cannons are really kind of hard to unpeg, but you can also kind of seat a very tiny little robot on here, but those blue sections fold up. So, oh, and everything on here is super tight, just to be completely clear. And then there's a peg on the giant cannon that fits in the back, and then we have what is called the vehicle mode, just plain old vehicle mode. Now, the vehicle mode really does also have these pegged into the side, but I prefer just as plain old vehicle mode to be this. That's just a personal preference. But that allows us to easily gather and grab the little vehicle that he's carrying in the back. This little dude, which is the cutest little mine-clearing vehicle you've ever seen that has a Gatling gun. Because reasons. Now, spoiler for the IDW comics series, if you don't want to know about that series, I might suggest stop watching because I'm going to talk about it. So, Ultra Magnus was actually somebody known as Minimus albus, or Minima albus. The correct name will be here at the bottom of the screen. His transformation is incredibly simple. Unpeg the Gatling gun from the back, and then the Gatling gun will connect to the bottom of the front of the big arse gun. Unfold the knees, flip down the feet, and do that on the other side. Fold down the knees, flip down the feet. Turn the legs around 180 degrees, fold the arms out, flip the wheels all the way back, and then fold the entire backpack down, and then stand him up, and we've got Minimus City Commanderus. The amount of detailing on this little thing is surprisingly good. There's a ton of really good detail and some pretty good paintwork at this size class, or scale. The eyes and the face are painted, which is really nice. I'm pleasantly surprised. In terms of height, he's about half the size of a Legends class figure, but is double the height of a Titans Returns Titan Master. Ironically, his scale is perfect for surfing on RC's backpack. And a heck of a lot better than RC herself. And yes, he is much smaller than a cat. And oh boy, am I glad I picked him up when I did, because this cat was about to eat him. So, posability on this thing is actually really good. Head is on a ball joint. There's a ball joint inside the shoulder, then the outside is a swivel, ball joint in the elbow, ball joint in the hip. He has a thigh swivel, bend at the knee, and a ball, no, not a ball joint. Yeah, a ball joint at the bottom ankle, and the top ankle is a hinge. So yeah, there are poses to be had here. The figure also has peg holes on the bottom of each forearm so he can hold the no kitty! As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by the cat, he can hold his minigun. Transformation into robot mode is pretty cool. To start off with, come to the back of the figure and flip up what will be the knees, and then come to the sides and unpeg these large sections here and flip them up like that. So do that on the other side, and they will peg into place, and then accordion them down and fold the little clips into place. If you're guessing, yeah, this is kind of like every other Ultra Magnus transformation in existence, but I'm okay with it. Then come to the back and unpeg the white bits and fold them up, but not all the way. We'll just fold them up like that for now. Come to the back again, split the rear section apart. This little blue piece will flip up, and this will form the crotch in robot mode. Come inside the rears of the alt mode and fold out these white components. That will then allow you to flip the sections down to form the legs. Then we can close those white components back up, come down to the feet, fold out the toe, and then this blue piece right here, we need to flip around 180 degrees. So what I do is I fold the foot down, grab it, flip it around, and then we just got to make sure that the toe is out of the way, and then fold it back up. And it will snap into place like that. Once both legs are transformed, take the entire hip section and turn it around 180 degrees. Next, we're going to come up to the area just behind the cab and flip out these black pieces. And then turn the figure around, grab the arms, and kind of just wiggle them apart because there are giant fists in there like this. So kind of just wiggle them apart like that. Big old fists. You see right back here, these red, it's really hard to see, sorry. Those red and blue components. Those are the wheels for this mode. So push them, and effectively we have to flip them around. So that's what we need to do, which is a little bit harder to do than you might think. You gotta get your fingers in there and just be careful while you do it. Now that we've got these arms wedged out, this little blue piece will actually fold in like that once we move the cab back. And then the cab will split apart. But first we kind of want to flip these blue pieces up and around like this. Then we can grab the cab and split it open. Fold down the head. Flip these little blue pieces that are on the inside around like this. And essentially what's going to happen is this whole section is going to fit back here. So fold it down, flip it forward, and you kind of have to wiggle it around because there are two slots on the side of the cab that will peg into the areas on the sides of the head. This is the way we want it to look. We want it to have those two tabs pegged into the sides of the cab section, and it looks a little weird. It just does. But that's the way it's supposed to go. And then this whole section will fold down. You see there are these two tabs that the black piece will connect to. Then then this whole chest section will fold in, and the head collar area will tab into this little blue piece. Once you got the cab in place, then we can close the shoulders up and drop these black shoulder pieces down like that, and then close the arms in, and they should snap into place. Though this connection right here I am legit worried about its longevity. Nothing's broken yet, but I don't know how long that's gonna last. Fold down the arms, and for right now, we're done. Starting a 360 look of the figure at the back, it's really nice looking. It's Ultra Magnus, hands down. I love the detailing for the little red spots that show, danger, don't put your fingers here. And then we have the side of the figure and the front of the figure, and it's a really good looking Ultra Magnus. I can't really say anything negative against it. It's just an absolutely fantastic looking rendition of the character. I like the head sculpt. I really do, except I think the face is just a little bit too tiny for the figure. Just feels tiny for that giant battle helmet. And those baby blues have some nice light piping on them. In terms of posability, head is on a ball joint. Pectorals have in and out movement, and then swivel at the shoulders along with a very nice hinge. Very, very nice hinge. The upper pylons also move in and out of the way and can bend forward for blasting fools action. Double bend at the elbow, bicep swivel, and each one of the fingers are individually articulated. Ball joint, hinge joint, and then another hinge joint. Oh, so good. Oh, that doesn't sound good, but he does have torso articulation. Front and side skirt armor get out of the way very easily. Back armor, or back skirt armor, doesn't. So legs can kick forward on nice ratchets and can kick out on ball joints, hinges. Thigh swivel, double bend at the knee. Ankle articulation is quite good on siege. We're talking siege level articulation, side to side. Limited and forward to back. There's not much going on there, but there is a little bit of a toe articulation, which I do appreciate. The giant cannon has a handle that folds down at the back like that, and then will peg into these open ports, or open slots in the hands, or palms, I should say. And getting him to hold the gun isn't hard at all, thank goodness. Add those giant double cannons to the shoulders, and you are ready to enforce some accords. Ooh, yeah, this thing is nice. In robot mode, and even in vehicle mode, it is a ton of fun. I just love the look of this thing, and it is beefy. The figure sits at about a Voyager class or even Leader class size. For the price, I mean, you're getting one heck of a figure here. Now, the weapons do have one more gimmick, and they can all combine, so we add the cannons to the top, like so. Come down to the middle and extend this section, which is the sight, which I guess you could extend when he's in cannon mode, and then add this, and we end up with a giant freaking rocket hammer. Oh yeah, that looks good. Now there is one last thing that City Commander can do, and that is combine with the little dude here. To do this, pull the shoulders apart, grab the entire, white part, torso, fold it out, spread that out, and just, you gotta work it so that you can get the head unpegged and folded down, and then we just literally shove him up in there. So to do it, we sort of return the figure to its alt mode, and when I had it in alt mode, I had the arms mistransformed. They peg in together. Flip the front wheels up, take the legs, and turn them around 180 degrees, and then literally fold that leg out and flip it up at the knee like this. Once we have him in this weird wishbone configuration, he's going to peg in to these two peg holes, and that peg right there, into these two, those are pegs going in these peg holes, and that's a peg hole that goes in there. So it looks like that, and to be honest, he looks like he's about to have, or is having, a very bad time. And that's what it looks like folded up. No, it's not that easy to get that in there. You really have to futz with the white pieces in order to get him slid in there correctly. But once you got that little heart former in there, it holds together, mostly. And before I forget, the boxes that are on the outside of the legs are missile pods. I've got to admit, I really like City Commander. I've not been real positive on Iron Factory's figures lately, and I got a hold of the Megatron, the Beast Megatron, and I don't like it. And I didn't like Windblade, and I didn't like a lot of these Legends class figures. But if the rest of the figures are coming out at this size scale and this quality, I'm much more inclined to recommend them. I really, really think that this City Commander figure is excellent, and is probably one of the best versions of Ultra Magnus we've gotten in a while. It's even better than the Siege figure, and that figure is really good. So folks, let me know what you think of the figure down in the comments. Remember, I purchased this figure over at the Chosen Prime. There will be links in the description to them and to everywhere else that I can find it for sale. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to follow me over on patreon.com. I'm going to be doing a giveaway there shortly. So if you want to be included in that giveaway, be sure to be a patron. As always, I have been BaltMatrix, and I'll catch you next time. Hello everybody, I'm BaltMatrix, and today we are taking a look at Legends Class Magic Square MS B14 and 15 Beatback and Collide. Oh yes. No, Megatron, Kitty, what? Guys, you're ruining my intro, come on. Okay, now that we've gotten rid of the cat and the dinosaur, both were ejected to the upstairs kitchen, let's go ahead and take a look at these little tiny Stunticons. I picked both of these figures up over at the Chosen Prime. They are also available at the Big Bad Toy Store. What the figures come with are, well, the figures themselves, a weapon for each, and then some goodies. We've got some thigh components some what look like toes, and then character cards for each one of the figures. And lastly, some very nice, well done, clear directions. Right out of the box, both of these figures look so very good. And they feel a lot more accurate to the original Generation 1 character designs than a lot of the other third-party figures that I've gotten a hold of lately. Okay, that's kind of a lie. I haven't gotten a hold of a lot of them. I've gotten a hold of one third-party Stunticon. And that third-party Stunticon is the X-Transbots Crack-Up. I hate the robot mode. I hate the coloring on the figure. The transformation's okay, and the vehicle mode is actually pretty darn good, but I'm just not a fan of the figure, so I haven't reviewed it. Now, don't get me wrong, these figures are very small. I'll be doing a size comparison for you in just a moment, and they are virtually identical in terms of just how the figures work. But I love the look. I think the figures look absolutely fantastic. The set isn't cheap though, at about $70 for 2 Legends class figures. That's a high price to ask, but they're worth it. They really feel good in the hand. All of the joints are tight. The painting is very well done. And overall, I'm having a ton of fun with these figures. And yes, I have the others pre-ordered already. As far as I've been able to tell, both figures come with very G1 accurate weapons. However, the weapons are a little bit tough to get in the hands. It's not that it's bad, it's just very tight. The hands are very tight. And they're really kind of too big because you can't bend the elbows with them. I mean, you could get a little bit of elbow bend in there, but it doesn't even get to 90 degrees. I swear that the coloring is exactly the same as what I remember the G1 figures looking like, and the head sculpts are spot on. I just cannot stress enough how close to the original Generation 1 figures this feels for me. And for size comparison, here are Legends Class Legends Class Wingspan and Legends Class Beachcomber. Both of these figures are roughly the same size, but both of them are much, much thinner than either Beachcomber or Wingspan. There's a lot less chunk going on here. As stated before, both of these figures are roughly the same in terms of molding. They do have slightly different transformations, but they both look good and pose really well. Speaking of said posability, head is on a swivel and can move side to side. Oh, both of these guys have the exact same posability. Swivel in the shoulder with a hinge. There is a bicep swivel on both arms. However, on poor Collides, his swivels on these upper arms that are just above the elbows are so incredibly tight, I don't even bother trying to move them because I fear I'm going to break them. 90-degree bend at the elbow. Fists are on a swivel, but again, very tight. Just very, very tight. Hips are on a ball joint. You can see the ball joint right in there, so it's got plenty of articulation there. Swivel at the upper thigh, or swivel at the thigh, not the upper thigh. 90-degree bend at the knee. Then there is siege level tilt for side to side and forward and back. The forward and back is really due to the transformation. Now the really cool part for the posability is the swivel. And then there is a series of extra joints here for epic Japanese ab crunching. I mean, come on, how is that not cool? I cannot even begin to tell you how stupidly fun this is. Transformation, very simple. To start off with, push the arms up into the elbows. One word of warning, when they're in the box, the only thing you have to do is actually extend the arms to finish the transformation. Turn the figure around and open up the back, which is a little bit harder to do than you might think. Now, you see how I have the arms pointing straight out to the side, come up to the shoulders, and pull them down on this inner hinge that's effectively the armpit. Take the head and fold it up into the back, and you kind of have to just straighten it out to get it right behind those hinges. And then take those inner hinges and line everything up and push what were the shoulders, all the way up above to where the head was. And then put the arms down, and then close the backpack up, and there are these tabs just on the back side of the upper arms that will tab into the windscreen. And then we could drop the front of the vehicle mode down and That's the front of the Lamborghini mode. Now, for the legs, this is super interesting. Grab the entire outside section and pull it away from the figure, like that. And then take the entire, well, shin and lower section and slide it up into place so it looks like that. And do the same thing on the other side. With both of those shin sections pushed all the way up, we can combine the legs. Finally, take the outer part of the lower legs and rotate them up and then just kind of work them around the fists and then push them in like that and get everything lined up and snapped into place. Collide's transformation is pretty much the same except for the legs. We'll do everything for the chest and the arms that we did before. And just rotate everything down, push it in place, snap everything together, fold the top down. Whoops. As long as we do things correctly, everything will line up. Now for the legs. Turn the hips around 180 degrees. Come down to the toes and fold them up into the feet. And then we'll just do the same thing we did before. Pull the leg out, slide the hip or slide the shin up, and do the same thing on the other side. Now that we've got that done, fold the entire section up, turn the foot around 180 degrees, get that over the hands, collapse the outer section in, and peg it into the roof, like that. And what we end up with are two very clean looking cars. Both of these look really good. I'm just very, very happy with them. The Wild Rider car is very nice. I love the way this looks. It's got some beautiful lines to it, and it's just really good. And then the Not Breakdowns car mode is also excellent. However, I really think there could have been an extra coat of white paint because that blue paint is just bleeding out all over the place. Oh well, there's nothing I can really do about it except repaint the entire figure, and let's face it, I'm not going to do that. In the car mode, there is nowhere to place the guns, unfortunately. Oh well. And yeah, these are very clean car modes. I mean, yes, if you're a Transformers fan or a fan of giant robots, you could tell that giant robots, you could tell that there is a robot in there somewhere. But I mean, if you're like a 6-year-old kid, these are just cars. They're tiny little fun cars. You can see where the pegs are going to be pegged into for the combined mode. Cool. Oh, right there as well. So cool. We have an idea of where they're going. I'm really looking forward to the rest of these figures. A quick size comparison with some other Legends class carbots give you an idea on the actual scale of these figures. Okay, yeah, this isn't exactly Menasor, or Magic Square Menasor for that matter, but this is kind of what I'm guessing the final mode is going to be height-wise. Just a guess. I don't have any evidence to go off this. It's probably going to be a little bit taller. So I am really looking forward to the rest of this set. I'm really looking forward to being able to review it for you folks. Let me know what you think of these figures down in the comments. I picked these guys up over at thechosenprime.com. Link to these figures to that site is down in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video review. Please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. As always, I have been BaltMatrix, and I'll catch you next time. It is time for my video review, yes. Not today, Megatron! Hello everybody, I'm BaltMatrix, and today we are taking a look at the big bot himself. That is Voyager-class Optimus Primal from Transformers Kingdom. The figure is packaged in robot mode, but we're starting off in his monkey mode, or not truck mode, and gotta admit, I'm pretty darn impressed. That gorilla face is quite good, and the eyes are painted. It's really hard to see, though. I would have preferred if they used white plastic, but the brown plastic that they used with the little black for the irises does work. He is grimacing here. Overall, it works just fine. The figure comes with two accessories, and that being the Telltale or the classic swords, and as you can see, they are storable in beast mode, and they are really nice. Blue plastic with silver plastic. Actually, no, that appears to be painted silver, not blue plastic. It's silver on blue. Yeah, these are nice. I like them. I like them quite a bit. Now, as you see, I have the gorilla mode standing up. He is meant to be more bending over, so we futz with the knees a bit and get them so that he is more bending over. Put his arms down to the ground, and then flip his head forward, like so. This gives us a more classic gorilla posing ability. I'm not too fond of it because, quite frankly, I think even a gorilla mode is kind of silly. Now, let's face it, he also is just very, very silly in terms of, well, it's obviously a robot that turns into a gorilla. We've got robot kibble sticking out the back here and at the back of the rear feet. Nothing you can really do about that. In fact, at this size class, there's nothing Hasbro can really do about that. It's just kinda, they just kinda have to deal with it. In terms of size, with the other Kingdom figures, here are Rat Trap and Cheetor. We are talking about a core class and a deluxe class. Unfortunately, there aren't any other beasties, or I should say Maximals, in this line yet. But that doesn't mean we don't have any other beasts. Primal is utterly dwarfed by Leader Class Megatron, who will be getting his own review. Don't worry, that is coming. As you can see, he's just way, way smaller than Megatron is here. And that actually kind of works considering the show. I mean, Megatron was a lot bigger in the show than Primal. I do find it very cool, given the scale of the figures, that you can pull off one of the most iconic scenes from Beast Wars. That is, Megatron trying to literally eat the head of Primal. Not exactly perfect in terms of posability here because, well, I'm having to hold the dang thing up, but still, it's possible if you've got figure stands. I do find it fun that you can have Primal ride Megatron with no real issues. The only oddity is that sometimes when you put Primal on top of Megatron, Megatron's panels have a tendency to pop out of place. Some very minor issues that I have with this figure specifically have to do with some decisions that were made. So I would have loved there to have been a swivel at the elbow. As it stands, the only swivel is at the upper bicep. So if you move the arm, you get robot kibble. You can move the wrists. They do swivel, but it would have been really nice if there was an extra swivel here at the elbow. The head is completely hollow, given the transformation. Would have loved just a little bit more definition under there. Again, not a huge issue. And the last thing is just a kind of a pet peeve. I would have loved to have seen a different way for them to have done the legs, because just crunching up the legs like this on these double knees looks really bad. Like, seriously, it looks really bad. Again, given the size class, I can forgive it because we literally have a mini masterpiece Optimus Primal. I can complain all I want, but for the price, they did a really good job. Posability in Gorilla mode is head can move side to side and look all the way up and look down a little bit. Shoulders can move in and out. I haven't been able to nicely give him the same gorilla chest pounding action that the original Ultra Class figure had. Ball joint in the upper arm, swivel at the bicep, bend at the elbow, swivel at the wrist. Hands do open and close on one set of knuckles. There is torso articulation, ball joint in the hips. There is a swivel up there as well, though you don't use it as much in beast mode. Knees are terrifying, and then there is some ankle articulation side to side and just a little bit forward and back. I tried to have Primal ride Cheetor like he does Rhinox in the show, but, well, he's just a little bit big for our little kitty bot here. The transformation for Optimus Primal into robot mode is very clever and pretty dang show accurate. To start off with, come to the legs and fold them all the way down and then straighten them out. And there are these little pegs on the inside that will peg into the area right behind the reds of the knees. Just be wary that when you're doing this and playing with the figure in robot mode, those do come unpegged very easily. Then fold the robot feet down, and they've got these wonderful little hydraulics. I love it. You can see the hydraulics move when you do the transformation. Take the butt flap, flip it up, turn it around 180 degrees, and fold it up until it pegs into the top of the back. Take the entire back or bottom section of the figure, turn it around 180 degrees. Take the shoulders and flip open the pads and flip them up until they snap into place, like that. Then come to the section of the figure then come to the back of the figure, specifically just behind the head, and pull it away from the body. Grab the entire head section, pull it up, turn it around 180 degrees, and push it back down. And then this is where you can deploy Primal's shoulder cannons, if you so choose. You don't have to, but for the sake of this review, we will. Come to the chest, flip it around 180 degrees. I goofed, and you want to actually take the gorilla head, turn it 180 degrees before you close it up. So you want it to look like that, then push it in, and then close the chest up. In robot mode, Primal looks absolutely fantastic. I simply love the way he looks. And it's just so nice to have a mainline, relatively cheap Optimus Primal figure. I'm not saying that the Ultra figure was bad in any way. I just really prefer this. I'm really happy with this mold. It's done really well, and I'd be really interested in picking up a Fire Guts Convoy if Takara ever makes one. That'd be nice. It's just a banger. It is solidly a banger, and I'm so happy with it. I am absolutely super happy with it. The molding on the chest is just so nice and sparkly, and that head sculpt, it is perfect. Posability in robot form is also excellent. Head is on a ball joint. There is a ball joint in the shoulder, plus those hinges for the shoulders. Retains the exact same posability in the arms that we discussed earlier. Legs, hips, knees, all the same posability. Plus there is a little bit of extra posability, or one piece that I forgot on the bottom of each legs. At the shins, there is a swivel. And then the feet can actually bend and move a little bit more at the ankles, thanks to the extra articulation provided by the ball joints connecting the tips of the toes to the shins. It's really nice. For the rest of the review, I'm going to return the guns to the back, simply because I kind of don't like the coloring they used on the guns for the shoulder cannons. I can always repaint them, though. One thing that I do greatly appreciate is they added a little bit of fun in the wrists. Push these little panels in the insides of the forearms, and it pops out cannons. Oh, that is so cool. The original figure and the original character on the show had these little cannons in its wrists, or in his wrists, and they're here as well, and they're posable. This is so cool. Size comparison with the other Beastie Boys, we've got Rat Trap and Cheetor here. As you can see, Primal's bigger than both of them. But when we compare Primal to a couple of other figures of similar size classes and lines, the figure just feels downright tiny. I mean, he's just a smidge bigger than current Deluxes, but he's almost a full head to a half head shorter than most current Voyager class figures, which is just odd. But I guess they had to do that for the proportions of the Beast mode, and I'm overall okay with it. Overall, Kingdom Optimus Primal is an absolutely fantastic figure and is a wonderful addition to your Beast Wars collection. I'm so glad I was able to get a hold of this figure. I picked it up from the commandstore.com. It is also available over at the Chosen Prime and the Big Bad Toy Store. At the time of this review, I've been seeing it going in and out of stock of all of these stores, so follow the links down in my description to head over to the stores to see if you can pick him up for yourself. He does come in a 2-pack over at the Command Store with Cyclonus of all figures. Also, Cyclonus is an absolutely great figure in and of itself. So folks, let me know what you think of Optimus Primal down in the comments. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and please be sure to follow me over on Twitter and Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. I have been BaltMatrix, and this figure is just prime. Where the slag did all the coffee go? I don't know, boss. Eee! What the heck was that? Ew! What? Oh no. Oh no. Did Blur drink this entire casket of coffee? Looks like it. Oh, slag. Why, hello, YouTube. I am BaltMatrix, and today we are taking a look at Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Blur. And I've got to start off with saying that this is probably my favorite Blur, minus a few little things. Standing at almost the same size as other Deluxe Class figures in the Studio Series line, Blur is painted very nicely. The only red, though, is that little Autobot symbol, and the overall look of the figure is good, except the head sculpt. My biggest issue isn't with the actual sculpt itself, it's actually with the paint. It's very hard to tell here on camera, but in person, if you look very closely, there's a lot of paint bleed coming onto the white around the helmet. The face sculpt itself is really strange. I'm not sure what character Hasbro and Takara were going for, but this isn't Blur. In fact, we just got, like, the best head sculpt on a Blur toy that we've ever gotten, and that's specifically the Titans Returns Takara Blur release. That is the best head sculpt. This is like something from a DreamWorks cartoon. It's really strange. What isn't strange is the excellent light piping. Blur comes with 3 accessories, the first of which is his backdrop. It is the Autobot City, and specifically this looks like the cell or the scene of Autobot City just as Ultra Magnus, RC, and Springer drive up. And I don't remember it being yellow. I thought Autobot City was orange. Okay, whatever. The other accessories that the figure comes with are his blaster, which, very cool. I like this little blaster. And this. It's a welding gun. I know he used it at some point, I just can't remember when. Okay, whatever. The welding gun fits over either of the hands to mimic the transforming wrists that Transformers sometimes have, and then the gun can be held in either hand. Either. They're both white. I would have liked a little bit more paint on them, but I could do that myself. In terms of posability, head is on a ball joint and can look down and up and side to side. Shoulders are on hinges and swivels and ratchets. Nice. There is a double set of hinges, so you've got the hinge for the shoulder, and then you've got another hinge just underneath this spot on the top of the shoulder, so the arm can actually point straight out. Bend at the elbow with a swivel just above it, and the fists, they do articulate, but you have to disconnect the forearm armor first before you can actually move the hand. And it's super tight, like really tight, which kind of stinks. Not the tightness, the fact that you have to remove the forearm armor, which is just stupid. Torso swivel, ball joint in the hip, bends at the knees, thighs swivel, and then toe articulation. Not as good as Siege figures, but pretty okay. No forward and back, but definitely side to side. Even though the figure has a pretty large backpack, it doesn't get in the way because it tapers off down towards the figure's rear. Unlike the Titans Returns figure, you cannot take this backpack off. It does not form a shield, which is more Generation 1 accurate. Also, you can't lose it, which I appreciate. I am bummed that the giant forearm bits get in the way and are attached at the wrists, but then the transformation wouldn't work if they weren't. So I'm kind of lenient toward it, but it is really a bit of a bummer. Though they could double as tonfas if you think about it hard enough. Or maybe I'm just trying to justify it in some way. Your choice. In terms of scale, here are RC and Hot Rod, and Blur, and Springer, and Siege Class Ultra Magnus. Yeah, it's standard deluxe class fare. Blur's transformation is a lot of fun. I love this transformation. To start off with, straighten out the head, grab the backpack, pull it away from the back, and flip it up over the head. And just before you close it up, come to the chest and flip the chest around 180 degrees so it's pointing up like that. And then tuck that blue front underneath, like that. And then come to the wrists and flip the forearms out, open up the forearm section and flip them over the hands, and then close them up. actually don't really need to do that because they'll kind of just go over the hands anyway. Then take the arms or the wrists and turn them 180 degrees like that. And then you've got a crab monster. Come down to the abdomen and open up this little hatch here, and then add a pair of googly eyes, and you've got yourself an Ultraman Kaiju. In all seriousness, let's move on with the transformation. Come down to the legs and pop open the shins, and then fold up the feet like that, and do that on both sides. And what I mean by fold up the feet is fold down the heels towards the toes, and oh yeah, those are ratchets. On the inside of the figure's left leg is the antenna. Flip that out, snap the legs together, fold the legs up at the knees like so. Once we've got the legs combined like this, come to the shoulders and unpeg the shoulders out to the sides like that. Then these little blue tabs that are the actual shoulders, fold them down. You'll see why in a minute. Take the knees, or the bottom of the feet, fold them up, and then push the shoulders back up to get out of the way of the feet. Fold the rear bottom feet in, and they won't actually peg into those shoulder components, like so. And then we can take the arms, bring them all the way back, turn them around, and there are a couple of pegs we need to be worried about here. There's a peg here at the back, a peg here at the middle, or a peg hole here at the peg, and then that clasp right there. And just getting everything lined up and pegged in requires just a little bit of force, but it's good to go. And it will rest on the inside of the shoulder pad like that. And that, my friends, is the hover car mode, and it looks sweet. It is quite honestly the most Generation 1 show accurate blur alt mode we've ever really gotten. Only complaint I have is, one, the underside is hollow. That's where the gun goes. And two, if you move it around too much, the seat collapses. If you're wondering, can you store a Titans Master or any figure in that little seat? No, you can't. It's too small. Now in this form, you can attach the weapons to the underside of the vehicle mode. The opening at the back stock of the gun will peg into the little peg sticking off, and then the welder will peg in just behind it like that, so you can mount the weapons in vehicle mode. It's okay. I would prefer if there was a target master that could be mounted under here, or maybe somebody on Shapeways can make a piece that would actually be a shield that would cover up some of the holes here and some of the holes here. I don't know. Hey, Non-Nef Productions, if you're watching, an idea for you. Pieces that fill in these sections on Blur, and then a little shield section that pegs in up front. I would buy that. I'd buy the heck out of that. Now, in terms of size, it is roughly the same size as other deluxe class figures in vehicle mode. I was going to transform Hot Rod, but I really don't feel like transforming Hot Rod right now. As you can see, well, here's a Quake. It's still my favorite Titans Returns figure. Anyway, yeah, it's good size. Overall, I'm very happy with Blur. I like this figure a lot. I'm really, really smitten with it. Yes, it's got its issues. Yes, the forearms are just stupid large. Yeah, the head sculpt and face sculpt isn't the best. I don't care. I still love this figure. I just absolutely adore it. It's so nice. It's exactly what I wanted from a Blur figure. Yes, the Takara Titans Returns figure might be painted a little bit better, but I'm very, very happy with this, and that other figure is next to impossible to get a hold of for a reasonable price. I picked this figure up over on Amazon.com. It's also going to be available at Big Bad Toy Store, The Chosen Prime, and CommandStore.com. Links for those stores are all down in the description, including the Amazon link. I don't have affiliates on any of them, so have at it. Get them where you can. So folks, let me know what you think of Blur down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I have been BaltMatrix, and I'll catch you next time.